One of the main tasks of optimizing urban development is a favorable and comfortable environment. The comfort is formed by the interaction of natural and socio-economic conditions of the region's development. This interaction is especially palpable in the large industrial centers, which have a strong negative anthropogenic impact on the environment. An essential feature of such cities is a territorial differentiation, not only in environmental indicators, but also in the development of social, transport, and engineering infrastructures. Therefore, for such regions, it's important to make a spatial analysis of habitat comfort, considering a set of conditions and their parameters meeting the basic needs of the population. It gives an opportunity to develop measures and optimize the interaction of the living environment with the functioning of the industrial sphere of large industrial regions. In general, ecological and social comfort of the population is a complex system that is an element of a large anthropogenic urban ecosystem. The structural elements of this system are urbanized industrially changed landscape, transport and social infrastructure, and environmental situation. Thus, the territorial assessment of living comfort involves a comprehensive spatial analysis of the main factors of living comfort. Such research is significant for objects with high technogenic load. The purpose of this work is a spatial analysis of populations living comfort in large industrial cities, and the object of the study is one of the most industrialized regions of Ukraine, Europe, the city of Kryvyi Rih. The territory of the city, as for functional purpose and nature of use, is generally divided to residential, industrial, and landscape recreational zones. Residential zone is a territory where zones of housing, public buildings, green areas of common use, adjacent areas of residential buildings, objects of daily and periodic service, public centers, green areas of general and limited use, special purpose, main and street road network, sites for utilities, and other. Industrial zone is a territory of enterprises, facilities, utilities facilities, transport infrastructure, warehouse, innovation development, such as technology and industrial parks, as a part of industrial zones and industrial areas. Landscape recreational zones are the ones of green and other open spaces for various purposes located in the settlement and suburban areas, and also in the inter-settlement areas, including landscape complexes, recreational areas, resorts and health areas, culture, sites and tourist zones, territories of nature reserve and water funds, and water and field protection zones. In this work, the population's living comfort is determined by three groups of factors. First, transport accessibility. Second, development of social infrastructure and ecological conditions of the territory is the last one. The first group describes providing the city with transport routes of various types of public transport. Second group characterizes the social living conditions of the population, in particular the number of educational, cultural, healthcare institutions, etc. And the factors of the third group include the ecological condition of the territory by the criterion of air pollution. And the choice of these factors as the main ones in assessing the living comfort of the city population is confirmed by the results of a survey of city residents conducted by the Institute of Urban Development in Kryvyi Rih. In order to quantify population's living comfort, the methods of scoring the territory of the city Kryvyi Rih has been chosen. As the scoring system allows to correlate the existing level of comfort and identify its territorial imbalances, to include in the system of assessment any kinds of indicators of natural, ecological, and social purpose, and to derive the integrated indicator of comfort of a certain territory and carry out a comparative analysis of integrated indicators on comfort of different urban areas. In order to perform the score in the territory of Kryvyi Rih on the city master plan is covered with a regular grid, the cell size of which is 500 on 500 meters. For each pixel of the grid, the scores of the factors of living comfort of the population are determined, and in order to interpolate their conditional surface, the coordinates of the centroids of each cell are determined, and it helps to create a layer of points from the weighted averages. The GeoInfo geographic informational system has been used to process the weighted averages, and the result is a series of maps illustrating the spatial differentiation of each of the comfort indicators. The determination of the integrated indicator of the population's living comfort of the city of Kryvyi Rih is an average estimate of each of the pixels. The obtained total scores have been ranked according to the principle of natural gaps. This allows to distinguish within their statistical series of the integrated indicators of living comfort of the population of Kryvyi Rih three groups of conditions of comfort of the population living environment, ranging from their highest to the lowest one. First is good, like more than 3 and 8 points. Second, satisfactory from 2 and 3 to 3 and 7 points. And the third one is uncomfortable, less than 2 and 2 points. Based on the principle of spatial combination of indicators of cells and polygons, there has been constructed a map of population living comfort in the city of Kryvyi Rih. Analyzing the obtained zoning scheme of Kryvyi Rih, it should be noted that the functional zoning of the city is spatially linear over 100 kilometers. Unlike most large cities, this structure is manifested in the fact that the central part is expressed not in the form of a clearly formed urban core, but in the form of central axis that crosses the entire city from south to north. This is the result of a scattered location of individual industrial facilities in the historical development of the city's industry. This location of the city's leading enterprises was dictated mainly by the spatial distribution of iron ore deposits. Near these facilities, housing estates were formed and gradually merging into a single urban infrastructure. A characteristic feature of the functional zoning of large industrial centers is the dominance of industrial zones in the structure of the city. In Kryvyi Rih, industrial zones occupy a significant part of the city, like about 45% of the total area. The largest industrial zone is located in the southern part of the city and is represented mainly by large enterprises of the metallurgical industry. In the general structure of this part of the city, the industrial zone makes more than 70%. The vast majority are carriers, dumps, and tailing ponds. In the central and northern parts of the industrial zones are less than 40%. In addition to large manufacturing enterprises, concentrated enterprises of trade, and utilities and consumer services, food industry, and more. And green recreational areas occupy only 18% of the city and represented by parks, squares, and beaches. In the southern part of the city, the lowest share of landscape and recreational areas is around 12%. In general, due to significant anthropogenic pressure on the environment, the city doesn't have a sufficient number of recreational facilities. Residential areas occupy around 37% of the city and significant predominance in its central part, around 67%. They occupy the smallest area, 12% in south of the city. The basis of the residential area of Kryvyi Rih is occupied by minor buildings. The other part consists of areas of medium and multi-story buildings. Here, public and business zones also include city authorities, organizations, hospitals, educational institutions, and etc., characterizing the ratio of the area of housing with different levels of ecological and social comfort of the living environment. It should be noted that in Kryvyi Rih is dominated by uncomfortable areas of the city, like 40%, and there is much less living space. The number doesn't exceed like 25%, and this is due to the fact that most of their infrastructure development of such cities was subordinated to the development of industry in the region. Social demand was of the secondary importance, and regarding the spatial differentiation of the distribution of living comfort, it should be noted that the majority, almost 63% of the territory with favorable comfort, falls to the central part of the city, while in the north only 7%. The largest part of the territory with uncomfortable living conditions also defined in the central part of the city, 82%, with significant dominance in the east. For the northern and southern parts of the city, this figure is only 20%. The northern part of the city is also the most comfortable to live in. The southern and eastern central part of the city is the most unfavorable. This destructiveness is due to the fact that more than two-thirds of the living space is located in the central part of the city. It should be noted that more than half of the territory of the village favorable living conditions, 57%, are in two districts, Ternivsky and Pokrovsky, located in the northern and northern central part of the city. At the same time, more than half, 51%, of the uncomfortable area falls on the Dolhinsky district, east of the central part of the city. In other areas of the city, this figure ranges from like 5 to 13%, and thus the method of spatial assessment of ecological and social comfort of the living environment of industrial cities on the example of Kryvyi Rih, which includes a set of criteria and indicators of assessment using mathematical and cartographic modeling based on geographic information technology. The obtained results make it possible to identify the territorial imbalance in the development of socioeconomic policy of the city.